Okay, 4.1. Here we go. Take a look at the title, Synthetic Division, the Remainder, and Factor Theorems. So if you look in this video, you are going to see polynomial long division, and you are also going to see an elementary school example of how to actually do long division, because I'm guessing some of you have not done long division for probably 5 or 6 years, considering that you have a calculator to do all the division for you. So where we're going to start, I want to show you an elementary school example. So let's go back to, I don't know, 5th, maybe 6th grade. To see long division. So let's say I asked you to do this problem. 585,237 divided by 235. Okay, so think, elementary school. It's when you last did it. I know probably what you're thinking. Oh my god, I totally forgot how to do this. Well, I figured this is why I'm going to show you. It's going to be important that you understand long division, so let's kind of talk about it. I think what you did for long division in elementary school, you asked yourselves, how many times does 235 go into 585? Well, I'm going to teach you a little bit of a trick that kind of helped me with long division. Instead of, because I don't know my 235 times tables, and I know I'm not going to have a calculator, so I got to try to do this without. So instead of figuring out 235 into 585, what I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to focus my attention on this first number here. How many times does 2 go into 5? Because chances are, how many times 2 goes into 5 is the same thing as how many times 235 goes into 585. Think about that for a second. So what I'm thinking, 2 goes into 5 at most twice. So with my long division, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that 2 up there. Well, how do I do long division? Well, here I take 2 times 235, and that result goes right there. Okay, so I'm going to do this without a calculator. 2 times 235, 0.74. Maybe it went a little bit too fast for you. So I know it's 470. I know I subtract them. When I subtract, I get 115. Well, 235 doesn't go into 115, so what do we do from here? Well, if you think from long division from elementary school, we bring down that 2. So now, again, what I'm doing is saying to myself, maybe a little bit too fast again, how many times does 2 go into 11? Okay, so 2 goes into 11 at most 5 times. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put a 5 up here. I'm going to multiply them together. And I see, that didn't work. It's too much. So I know what I need to do is I need to erase that, and I know it's got to be 4. So when I multiply 4 times 235, if you need to see what I'm doing, 4 times 235, that number goes right there. Now I subtract them again. When I subtract, I get 212. Same deal. Bring down that 3. How many times does 2 go into 21? Okay, so 2 goes into 21 9 times. Multiply them. 9 times that gives me that. Okay, so same deal, subtract them. Bring down the 7. How many times does 235 go into 87? Well, it doesn't, so I gotta put that 0 there because it doesn't go in. What do we call that 87? What is this number right here? What's that number called? What is this number called? What's the 2,490 called? What is the 235 called? Do you remember what any of these words are? Do you remember what any of them are? What do they mean? Or how do I write my answer? I'm guessing in elementary school what you did is 2,490 with a remainder of 87. That's not going to be good enough. Instead, hopefully you remember, okay, well, how do I write that? What if I write it like this? 2,490, and I put 87 over that number 235. Notice how I'm not using the words because I want you to kind of figure out what they are. So my answer is 2,490 and 87 over 235. Okay, so if you do that in your calculator now, just double check yourself. Is that right? Of course it's right. Okay, so take a look. Do you remember your elementary school long division? Because here we go. Alright, so I'm going to take that concept, elementary school, and now I'm going to apply it to high school. Alright, so now high school time. So it says, find the quotient and the remainder. Hopefully those words sound familiar to you. They should now. Quotient is the answer to a division problem, and the remainder is obviously what you have left. Okay, so I know to set this up, what I do is I simply take the x plus 2 and put that on the outside. I take the 3x cubed, yada yada yada, put that on the inside. Okay, so think about the elementary school example that you did. Instead of figuring out x plus 2 into that giant mess, just focus on the first term only. You should probably write that down. Focus on the first term only. How many times does x go into 3x cubed? So I'm going to write it down for you once. I don't think I'm going to do it anymore after this because I think you're all smart children and you can kind of figure this out on your own. Here's what I'm thinking. X times what gives me 3x cubed? Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking when I try to do this entire set. So if you want to write this down every single time, great, go ahead, do that. I'm not going to do it any more than that because I think that if you need that, you take that upon yourself to do that. So x times, look at it again, x times what gives me 3x cubed? Well, x times, x times 3x squared gives me 3x cubed. Okay, so think about that. How do I do this from here? Notice how I lined the squared up with the squared. I put it all in line. Make sure you keep it in order. That's how you'll know when you're done. So I know now what I do is I take this 3x squared right here and I'm going to multiply it to both of them. And I'm going to write that answer right there. Okay, so if we take and multiply them, I get 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x squared times 2 gives me that 6x squared. The advice I'm going to give you, notice that I put it in parentheses. Always put it in parentheses and then put your subtraction sign on the outside. In parentheses, subtraction sign on the outside. I promise you'll understand why I'm going to do that. Okay, so now go ahead and subtract them. 3x cubed minus 3x cubed. See you later. It's the whole point. Subtract 3x squared minus 6x squared is negative 3x squared. What do I need to do here? I need to obviously keep going. I got to bring down that minus 2x. Same deal. Wash, rinse, repeat. How many times does x, right here, go into negative 3x squared right there? Okay, x times, so if you need to write down in your box that's over here, x times what is going to give me negative 3x squared? Well, that's obviously negative 3x. Same deal. Take this, multiply it by the two of them, write that answer right there. Okay, so multiply them. Notice parenthesis, subtraction on the outside. Okay, so now if I subtract them, focus your attention. Here's where I'm kind of looking right now. I'm looking right there. Negative 3x squared. Well, minus the negative is plus. Negative 3x squared plus 3x squared. See you later. It's the whole point. Watch. Be careful. It's where I always see all the mistakes. That says negative 2x minus negative 6x. Minus a negative is actually plus. So negative 2x plus 6x gives me 4x. Bring down that plus 6. Same deal. X times what gives me 4x. X times 4 gives me 4x. Okay, I'm going to multiply this times the two of them. That answer is going to go right there. Hopefully you're kind of staying with me. Multiply them, subtract. I know I'm done because I don't have any more terms to bring down. So I know negative 2 is my remainder. It said find the quotient and the remainder. How do I write that? I want you to write it like that. Think about the elementary school example we did. We put the quotient on the outside, put the remainder over. Remember, the x plus 2 is called your divisor. Okay, so understand that's your divisor. So there is my answer to this problem. Alright, one more. I want you to take a look at letter B. This is where you have to be careful. I'm going to get you started, and then I want you to try, let's see if you're smart enough to kind of do this and work through it on your own. So, I'm going to get you started. I'm going to take the x minus 3, put that on the outside. I'm going to write the 2x. Oh, look at that. Write yourself a reminder. Notice what I did. There was no x cubed in this problem, so what you need to do, any terms that are missing, you need to hold its place by putting a 0 there. 0x cubed. Let's say there were an x missing, you would have put 0x. Let's say there were a constant missing, like this number 5 is your constant. If that was missing, you would have had to put a plus 0 there. So always remember to kind of go in order. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how important that's going to be. And then just kind of keep going from there. Alright, so maybe a little bit faster this time. I'm thinking x into 2x to the 4th. Well, I know that that is 2x cubed. Multiply the two of them. Think this is what I'm doing. Just kind of get you started one more. This times that. And I'm writing that answer right there. Okay, so if I multiply them, it gives me that. Subtract them. I get positive 6x cubed. Bring down that negative 15x squared. Wash, rinse, and repeat. X times what gives me, here's what I'm thinking, x. Oh, what is that? X times what is going to give me 6x cubed. Well, I know that's 6x squared. multiply by the two of them, parentheses, subtraction on the outside, subtract them, bring down the minus 10x, same deal. Positive 3x, subtract them, I get negative x one more time. So it looks like there is my answer. Okay, so think. The elementary school example helped us figure out how to use polynomial long division. Hopefully this worked out well. Got a nice activity for us to work on in class today. Any questions, let's make sure we ask them. Please remember, let's not get lazy. We want to make sure that we're writing questions down. We're taking really, really good notes, and we're kind of really focusing because you are teaching yourselves right now. Let's keep up the good work. Good job.